So I guess what you're hearing from me is the market's darn good. And if you're thinking of selling and you don't want to gamble with the future, it can't get any better now. I know that winter is coming, and with COVID and all that, it's a great idea. Let's just put this off till May, June of next year. But I just told you, if you do that, you're sort of gambling if you're worried about how much you're going to get for your home and that. So and then the buyers that are out there, this is just kind of a demographic of the average price home that they're looking for. But there's 80 million of them. There's the same amount of millennials as there are baby boomers. So this is an enormous group of young people, and they're all hitting the market right now. So that's why, again, with low rates, high numbers of kids. But what we're starting to see with these young kids is if the prices keep going up, they're going to get priced out and they're going to pull back and they're going to go to rental. So this isn't going to last forever, because remember this too, these young people all have college debt, many of them, I'd say most of them. And the average college debt they have is $40,000. So they've got to pay that monthly payment in addition to a house payment. So again, prices will go up to a certain point, buyers will start backing down. Now, here's a question I hear all the time. I really haven't fixed up my house. It just doesn't show that well. I don't want to be fixing it up, and then you're going to get your downsizing people, and I just don't want to go through all that. Well, the good news is, because the market is so good, you don't have to fix up your house. The only thing I really recommend when I walk through is if you have a bad basement, a bad roof. So we want to be taking care of defects. So when I come over, I can kind of say, I think we need to get a basement inspection because the wall looks like it's cracked, that kind of thing. Things you wouldn't even notice. Many of my clients haven't been in their basement for the last 10 years, so they wouldn't even know there's a problem. So that's what I point out, and we want to fix those problems. But we could sell your house in absolutely as-is condition. We just want it nice and clean, that's all. Just get a cleaning service in. And there's various ways to sell. You can sell as is. I'm not going to go into all that, but I just want you to know that do not worry if your home is dated. It's going to sell. Every house sells. It's just a matter of the price that you're going to get. So do not worry about that. And I won't go into the millennials right now, but again, this is what I was just talking about. A start is just to maybe have me stop out. It's free. And I'll look at your home, I'll tell you what it's worth, and we'll decide how you want to sell it as is. Are you going to move first, or are you going to sell first? And that's what I help you with. And that all depends on when you actually sign up to get your apartment. Now, one thing I want to leave you with, if you don't sign up for an apartment, and I'm not telling you do that right now, but not much is going to happen. So if you're procrastinating, you think you should move, once you make that move to decide, yes, I'm going to make the move, let's say to Luther Manor, everything will fall into place. We have every service you could possibly need. We've got downsizing companies, we've got contractors, everything, movers, we got estate sale companies. So we coordinate that all for you, so you don't even have to think about it. All you have to think about is your new beautiful apartment and how you're going to decorate it and that kind of thing. So we try to make it as simple as possible. I told you about fixing the defects if we do find those, but you can sell it as is. Some people like to stage their home. So they move first and we get the house to vacant, and the stager comes in, puts a little furniture in and some pictures up on the wall, and the house looks beautiful, and you'll get more money doing it that way if you want to go that route. But again, it's up to you. You can sell it any way you want. Timing, as I said, you may want to move first, sell first. That all depends on your financial situation. Are you comfortable with moving first and still having your house sitting there? Most people I deal with don't like that idea. They like to sign up for their apartment, and then we start getting the house ready, and then put the house in the market so that when you move to Luther Manor, you get your check from your house and you don't have to worry about the house anymore. The money is in the bank. And we make it so easy that you don't even have to go to a closing. We come right to your house to have all the papers signed. And again, you know, we always, we understand what you're going through, because I've done this so long that the last thing you need to be doing is going through the yellow pages, calling contractors. And the other thing is, if you wait to downsize, I get that a lot. You know, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to start shredding papers and this and that. That process is going to take about 5 years. That's the average, about 5 years if you think you're going to, you know, downsize yourself. So again, there's companies we work with that help you with that, and they make it so simple, and it's just a little teeny fraction of what you're going to get for your home. This is the company I work with. It's called Smart Moves. They do a phenomenal job. There's 3 women, and they're very empathetic, and they'll come in and give you an estimate after, say, I come in and look at your house. They'll tell you how they work. They even have a guy that'll come and he'll write you a check for items you want to sell. He does a Channel 10 auction. His name's Eric Grossmeyer. And then he'll get your house to vacant when it's time for the move. And then Smart Moves also has a mover, and we coordinate the whole thing, and we work together as a team, and we just make it so easy for you. So please don't put that in your head where there's no way I can move with all the stuff, and then how am I gonna time the sale and all that. We do it all for you. So and these are all the companies that I work with, and there's a lot of them. There's basement companies, home inspectors, but we have sort of a Bruce's list from my many years in the business. These are all trusted people that I know won't take advantage of you, that are reasonable, and they're on time, and they do good work. And not only that, all the other realtors in the business use them, so that when you get something done by them, that's going to mean a lot to the realtor showing your home and talking to their buyer about your home. And again, you know, I know I could go on and on and on, but I just want you to get the sense that the services are out there. The market is fabulous. You again don't need to be calling Angie's List or any other list, as we have all the people you'll need. And I think I want to just close by saying I have had so many people over the years move to Luther Manor. I know them. I see them at stores. I come in there often because I have a friend that lived there for a while, and so I know everyone that works there. Luther Manor is probably, honestly, the top senior community as far as caring for the people that live there. I can promise you that. I talk to people when they move in. I listen to what they tell me. And Luther Manor, they live by their creed. They really take care of people, their needs. And I've never, ever had anyone move out of there except one person, the most stubborn person on earth. Then he tried to move back there because he realized how much he loved it. So other than that, boy, it's just a great community, great location because you got everything around. So they didn't ask me to sell Luther Manor. I'm doing this on my own because I speak at many communities, but this particular one is close to my heart because I care about my people and they care about you also. So I hope I've given you just a little information you can use. And I believe now we're going to be doing some questions and answers. So thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. That was really quite interesting. And I'm sure people have questions for you. I do want to introduce Patrick and Betsy and ask you all a few questions, and I'll stop sharing the screen there. But I wanted to get some insights, Patrick, from you first, a little bit about the plan for Luther Manor and what the goals are for the future. And I have some other questions that I think are related more to current, you know, how things are going currently with lifestyle of folks living at Luther Manor. But tell us a little bit about Luther Manor and where we're at with planning for the future.
Sure. Well, Thank you for giving me the chance to speak, and thank you again for everybody that's joining us. The planning for the future did not start today or yesterday. It started many, many years ago. And 2021 will be our 60th year here at Luther Manor. So as you can imagine, things change over 60 years, right? So our plan has really been in creation for many years. And what we've done in many ways is try to stay relevant while we have the reputation that Bruce was talking about the care that we provide and the satisfaction that we have from our residents. So for the past several years, we've been kind of going through a multi-million-dollar phased renovation. And by doing it in phases and not coming in and doing everything humanly possible in 1 year, we've allowed our residents, for the most part, to not even realize we have renovations going on. This is their homes, right? You know what it's like if you had to remodel a kitchen or fix up a bathroom, and they're not necessarily fun while you have contractors tearing stuff up and making noise and adding dust. And so we've done an awful lot over the years, including replacing all the flooring. One point that I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about COVID in the future of this meeting, but years ago, we started doing work in many parts of our campus where we actually put in antimicrobial flooring, antibacterial flooring, actual paint. We repainted the surface in our healthcare center area with antibacterial paint because of the flu bug. Because the flu bug, if we get a widespread issue here, that's not good for anybody. Little did we know we were preparing for the once in a, unfortunately, lifetime coronavirus. So this is helping us tremendously. But that was all part of our renovation plan, to refresh and renew everything that we have here. So we've been doing that for several years. So talk about the flooring, the furniture has been replaced. We've refreshed our apartments that may have been built in the 80s or 90s, but you would walk in there and you would think they were built yesterday. And we just had a lady put down a deposit, and she's moving in next month. Actually, boy, 10 days from now, right, Betsy? Very, very soon. But her comment was, "Oh my goodness, this is the best looking apartment of all the places that I've toured." And that is work that we just did. So on top of that, we've refreshed a couple of our restaurants. We've upgraded some of our technology. We've upgraded some of our mechanicals, the things that aren't very exciting. But boy, if you don't have them refreshed and things aren't working, then you know. And in the future, so we have a master plan. So we've kind of laid out, we've been here for 60 years. What does the future look like? What has changed in the marketplace? Because I can tell you, when we opened up with our first 12 residents in 1961, there weren't a lot of facilities in the Wauwatosa area. We were maybe one of a couple. So there's a lot more facilities in this area. So we want to stay at the very, very top of the cream of the crop. And so we have a lot of different things we're doing. We're adding new technology. So if you have someone come to visit you and you're using the buzzer system, you can actually see who's at the door outside. So that first one's going in the next couple months, and all the little things like that. So plans, we want to stay and keep doing all the great things we've been doing, but we want to stay fresh and relevant and timely too, because things have changed and those needs have changed for people.
What are you finding, Patrick, today, now certainly with COVID, how has that affected, we could talk about the lifestyle that's offered at Luther Manor in a non-COVID world, and hopefully what will come out of in a few months, fingers crossed. But tell us about a typical, the typical lifestyle today for independent living folks that live at Luther Manor.
What I want to say is I really feel like the before COVID lifestyle and the after COVID lifestyle probably are not that much different from what Ames and I, or Betsy and I, or Bruce and I, who don't live at Luther Manor, are like. Now, I don't know about anybody else here. I have not gone to restaurants since this started. That's my personal choice. I'm going to tell you that's a difference because our residents here in our independent living, we have 170, 180 residents. They're going to our restaurant and they're eating with each other. Now, granted, we're not having other folks come in and join them right now, but they're eating with all their friends and neighbors in our restaurants if they want to. Now, they don't have to. We're delivering a meal to them, to their apartment, if that's what they want to do because they don't feel comfortable, but that's their choice. Our residents are not restricted. So right now, any one of our residents in the terrace could go and have dinner with their loved ones at their house, and then just come back in. All we would ask them to do is screen in. So it gives us an opportunity to say hello, check their temperature. So this is a service that we're offering. We have our staff at a couple key entrances just to add that layer of security by asking them a couple questions about their health, checking their temperature to see if there's been any spike. And this is just one moment in time, right? We're recommending our residents check their own temperatures because of COVID, but for the most part, they can go grocery shopping. They can go if they want to go to a restaurant outside, they can. That's their choice. If they want to go have a meal with a loved one, they can. So they're free to move in around the campus, at least in the healthcare center, not the healthcare center, but in the independent living area, and they're also free to leave. Our activities, our Bible studies, we used to have 30 people go to our Bible studies. Well, we do 3 of them, but 10 people or less. So we've made changes to it, but we try to make sure the lifestyle and the needs of our residents are still being met. We're just doing it intelligently, cautiously, and following the guidelines that we've received from the CDC and the Department of Health and all the partners. And frankly, we have so many smart people on our staff. I don't watch the news. I listen to my team here, and I know that I get the facts, and they're not full of anything other than facts and ultimately what's best for the people that live here.
Have you had many independent living cases of COVID?
We have not. We actually have had one short quarantine or independent living over the past 8.5, almost 9 months now. So everything that I said there about leaving, there was one moment in time where we did have a quarantine. We asked everybody to stay in. Because it's independent, they are not required to. It's not mandated. We did not, there's not like a bar up that says you must stay in your apartment or you cannot leave. That's not the way. People may think that's the way that it is because, again, of watching the news, but that's not the way that it is. Our independent living residents are independent. We have things that they wouldn't need to leave. So if that's part of who you are and you have maybe some extra concerns or worries, we have our own grocery store. And actually, when COVID started, we doubled down and added more stuff to it. So if somebody didn't feel comfortable, they could go right down the hallway, say a hello to their neighbors, their friends, pick up their groceries and go back to their apartment, make their own meals, go to our restaurants if they wanted to, have a meal delivered to their apartment if they wanted to. They can still go to our gyms and work out. But you know what we're doing? After they leave, we're wiping down the equipment so the next person that goes in has a safe environment to go get their exercise too. It's not closed. It's just sanitized and kept safe. So everybody can keep their lifestyle going, but at the same time, we're providing the extra care to make sure that everybody's doing okay. We've hired, one last little point, and then you can ask me any more questions, but we've hired 3 brand new people because of COVID just to disinfect the campus. So we encourage our residents to go outside for a walk and get some fresh air on our 19 acres and have a seat at the park bench when they get a little tired maybe. But then we have our grounds crew going and disinfecting the bench they just sat on before the next person comes. So we're trying to make sure that we maintain those lifestyles, and we don't want anybody to feel like they're just stuck here and quarantined here and they can't enjoy their lives. If they want to do certain things, they are certainly entitled to do so.
Great, thank you. That was very helpful, and I think answered a lot of our questions, or a lot of questions that we hear from people. Betsy, I want to ask you a little bit as the senior living advisor. How has maybe showing the community, showing folks that might be starting to look, how has that changed, and what does that look like today for someone who's considering maybe senior living options and selling their home, like Bruce is mentioning?
That's a great question. I would say, and I know a few people on the call have actually done this, we rolled out a new way to tour, which is through Zoom, or even for people without internet access. We've actually done video cards where we send to someone's home, we send a card that they can just open up and it'll autoplay a video of our models as well as our amenities. We are doing Zoom tours, like I mentioned. So we're doing like one-on-one meetings, as well as being able to show you the different apartment homes that you're interested in. And then we are doing in-person tours. When you come in for an in-person tour, we just ask you to wear a mask. I will screen you in. So that includes taking your temperature with a forehead thermometer. So there's no contact. I just hold it in front of your forehead. And then I ask you if you have any of the symptoms of COVID. And we'll both wear our masks and stay 6 feet apart for the appointment. But other than that, it's we are doing in person, and it's kind of the same. I've gotten very used to it over the last 8 months of wearing a mask. So for me, it's a normal at this point.
Yeah. So you're saying that if I wanted to have a tour of Luther Manor, but I didn't want to come in, you and I could have a Zoom appointment over the internet, and you could show me around just like you would if I come in person.
Yes, definitely. And I have worked with people with all sorts of different comfort levels with Zoom. So I really try to be accommodating and use, we don't have to, sometimes people are more comfortable using FaceTime because that's what they do with their grandkids. So that's definitely an option as well.
Okay. But if I did want to come in and see an apartment home, I could do that.
Yes, I would love to set up an appointment with you, with anyone.
Okay. Great. Thanks. So maybe I will transition a little bit. Bruce, I want to ask you a little bit more about the safety and protocols on showing homes. So
Sure.
someone was, say, making the decision to move to Luther Manor, and then they wanted to list their home, but they were still concerned, I don't want to have a ton of people in and out of my house. How safe is it right now?
So we have many protocols in place as realtors. When we show a home, there are no open houses. So you do not have to worry about open houses. I've sold almost every house I've sold in the last 10 years without a sign. So you don't even need a sign. So you don't have to worry about your neighbors seeing your house for sale or anything like that, because everything's done on the internet. As far as protocol, we leave a little kit in front of your door, and that's with hand wash, gloves, booties, that kind of thing. And the agents can only go through one at a time with their client, and they have to be wearing a mask, and they have to wear the gloves. And so it's you don't have people wandering all over the house. And what we've been doing is to make it easier on our sellers, we've been putting it on the market, say on a Monday, and then not allowing showings till that next weekend. And the reason for that is we want everybody to know your house is on the market, because we'd hate to get an offer and the next day somebody says, oh, I would have made an offer on that house. So we wait about 5 days so everybody gets a listing. And then we ask the sellers to leave from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday, just one weekend. And that way we don't have to keep calling you and then you have to leave and come back and leave and come back. And so it's been working really well. And then we look at offers on Tuesday, and just about every house that we've sold has sold in that first weekend. I would say 50% of the time we've had multiple offers. So it's a pretty quick process. And again, nobody touches anything. They're wearing gloves and they all have hand wash, and it's only one customer at a time, and every customer is accommodated by their agent. So hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes we hear a lot about people that maybe have lived in their home for 50 years and don't necessarily know what it's worth, but have a tax bill that says, how much it's worth. Is that accurate? Should we depend on that?
So when we get our tax bills, remember that your assessment is just strictly based on your location and square footage. So the assessor has no idea if you have new countertops or you remodeled the whole house, you didn't remodel the house. And condition can play a role in about up to 30 to 50% sometimes. So you can have two homes worth 200,000, but one could sell for 150, one sells for 200 because of conditions. So, and we are also seeing that the prices are, in most cases, most communities, higher than what the assessed value is, because they haven't caught up yet to this appreciation that we've seen. One thing I would offer all of you, if you want, you can email me at Bruce, B-R-U-C-E, and then at seniorrealtor.com. And if you want to do that, just give me your address and then I'll do a little mini market estimate and then I'll just reply and it'll have comparables right around your house, sort of a price range, just to give you sort of an idea without me having to come out. No one will bother you. So just a service that I like to provide. So if you just want to email me your address again, and it's Bruce at seniorrealtor.com. I'll just reply with comparables to your home and give you sort of an idea of what it's worth.
Great. Bruce, is it better to sell a home that's vacant or one that is lived in and or staged, or what do you?
Yeah. That's a great question. And I can tell you homes do sell better with furniture in them because these young people are coming from an apartment, and if it's all vacant, they tend to feel like it's an apartment and it's not exciting and the pictures don't, work out real well, but we can do it. That's why we have staging. If somebody leaves first and we get it to vacant, we can then put in a little furniture. It's not very expensive. But what we usually do, if we're working, let's say, with smart moves, we'll have them come on in 2 stages. The first stage is just to box up things that are on your countertops and all that, and kind of clear out the rooms a little bit so that all we have are basic furniture and not stuff all over the counters. They'll box that up because you're moving anyway. And then we put it on the market and we sell it, and then they come back and then they do the estate sale and pack you up to move to the new location. So you can see that we really, really work together and make it easy for you.
And then what happens if someone's home doesn't sell?
It doesn't happen. This market, we've seen not one house not sell. The only home that would not sell is sometimes we get a very stubborn person that the house is worth, let's say, 200 and they want 300. Well, the market decides what you're going to get for the home regardless of what you want to get. And that's where we come in to show you, here's what the last 10 houses just like yours just sold for. And so the only homes that don't sell would be a very, 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 very stubborn person saying, I'm sticking out for this price, even though I know it's not there. And if they don't want to buy it, I'm not selling it. And we rarely get that happening. So if you price it properly based on our market estimate, and most people are very happy with it because they're worth more than you even think they're worth. As I said, I just bought everything we had sold in the first 5 days, and the ones that didn't, we adjusted the price after we got all the showing reports, and then it sold that next weekend. So I have seen none not sell, and that's how crazy the market is. If you would have called us in 2008, it was rare we sold the house, and most of them didn't sell. So this is like the exact flip side of that.
Yeah. So my last question, I think, between Betsy and Bruce that I'll ask, and then we'll open it up to anybody who has other questions, is, I think we'll ask a lot about, well, what's the cost? Tell me about how the cost works. What does it cost to live in a community? And then on the flip side, looking at, well, I have no mortgage, so I'm living for free, right? So, why would I move there? I have no mortgage and I'm living for free, and then move to a community. So Bruce, I'll let you start with the answer and then maybe transition to Betsy as far as what the specific cost components are at Lutheran Manor.
So I have a marketing piece that shows that on an average, let's say your home is worth 200. The monthly amount to stay in your home for quote unquote free is about $1,700 per month. So if you think you're living in the home for free, we all know that we have property taxes, obviously, and insurance. Most people forget about the maintenance. I was just in a home and I looked at it, and the roof is okay now, but about another 2 years, they're gonna have to put a roof on. That's, $10,000, $15,000 right there. So with maintenance, property taxes, repairs. Then you got to hire somebody to cut the grass in the snow, and they never show up and all that. So it's about $1,700 a month for a $200,000 home to live for free. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. And then,
yeah, that is helpful, Bruce. And that we actually do hand out that marketing piece that he was mentioning when people say, it is when people say that they're living in their home for free, because they do forget about those items. And those things are included at Luther Manor. So depending on the floor plan, we have everything from studios all the way to 2 bedrooms with a den. So it can vary based on the square footage of your apartment, but our typical, our most popular floor plans typically cost around $2,000 per month, depending on the number of occupants. We do have a second occupant fee, but all of that is included when you move to Luther Manor. And there's even more. So like we had been talking about earlier, there's activities, there's the gym, there's the restaurants and the grocery store that are available, not to mention the social services that we offer. There have been people who have said, I'm so glad to have lived at Luther Manor during the pandemic because they received more socialization than their friends who live outside of Luther Manor have. They've had the resources available to them, like the grocery store, but also we've been helping people set up pharmacy deliveries and some other items like that, that just frankly haven't been available for many of the people I've been talking to who don't live at Luther Manor.
okay.
Does that help answer your question?
Well, and keep in mind that our rents include around $250 in meal credits. So the restaurants that I've talked about, basically when you go to those restaurants, each individual, so if it's a single person living in an apartment or a couple, each person gets $246 in 2021 actually. So next year it'll be $246 towards meals in those restaurants. That covers about 30 meals a month. So you could actually pull that out of your grocery bill, for example. And then if you want to spend more than that in our restaurants, you can, but that's your choice.
Right. I think that is very helpful to know. And I think you're right, Bruce, that I think people don't always add the maintenance that's included with a home, and, the ice maker going out, or certain things maybe update and keep updated in those costs that are inclusive of living at Luther Manor community. But we are available, Betsy and Patrick at Luther Manor could certainly also answer any questions you have about lifestyle and costs at Luther Manor.